Welcome to the Iconic 100 Countdown. We've surveyed over 150 collectors on their thoughts on what they think are the most iconic cards of all time. And over the course of the next few months, every day we're going to list another card from the Iconic 100 Countdown. Today, we're very lucky to be joined by the one and only Kiki, Croatian twins from Instagram. Kiki, with that said, I have some very bad news for you. And that very bad news is that one of your very favorite cards is actually the first card that didn't make the list. At number 101, we have the 1935 National Chicle Bronko Nagurski. I know that this has got to be just sad and devastating. What are your thoughts about it coming in at number 101?
Adam, at first, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. And I'm literally shocked right now. You are telling me right now that the 35 National Chicle Bronko Nagurski is not in the top 100. It's the first one outside the list, right?
Just barely. It got a lot of votes. If one more person had ranked it anywhere on the list, or if anyone who did rank it ranked it 4 spots ahead of where they did, it would have been number 100 instead of the card that we're going to list tomorrow. But yeah, across the 155 people who were pulled, it just barely fell outside the list.
Okay, I think it all, like, we are all wrong for this one, because we have to understand this is one of the most iconic cards in existence. So let me tell you something about this card. I also have this one in my collection, of course, as a PSA 1, and it took me like 3 years to complete this card, because it's so rare. I think PSA only graded 200 pieces.
That's right.
Like 190 or something like this. And it took me 3 years to find one as a PSA 1. And we're talking about the very high 4 or 5 digit area. This used to be, and I think many people do not understand how rare or how valuable this card is. This used to be the most valuable football card ever made. Of course, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes took the game over right now. But 3 years ago, when I started looking for this one, even PSA says this is the most valuable football card in existence at the moment. The only thing I can understand that is not in the top 100 list is that it's so rare, and maybe newer collectors do not know about this one. That's why we never see it in any of the bigger like auction houses like PWCC. So we do not see it very often. And I think might be a point that might count into it. What do you mean, Adam?
I think you're exactly right. The fact that we don't see it very often, I think, has led it so that some people don't maybe know as much about the card as they ought to. There's fewer than 200 in the PSA population report. As you said, I just checked, it's 199 total across all grades. And I think what happens with that is then a lot of times people aren't willing to move the card. And so when you don't see it moved for a long time, it sort of leaves people's minds, or maybe better said, it doesn't enter into new collectors' minds. But look, I had this card in the 60s. I think it should be. I think it's one of the real grails for vintage football. And I think it's a mistake that it's not in the list. But having said that, and to give the participants and the voters of the surveys really some credit, there's some other cards, really, Kiki, that didn't make the list that I really think should be mentioned. The Johnny Unitas rookie card, the Pete Rose rookie card, the 2008 LeBron Chalk Toss, the 2012 LeBron Prism card are a few that over the course of 102 to 108. Those are some other cards that just people are going to be really sad to not see that those made the list, and people are going to say, though, that card should have made the list. The hard part is there's only 100 spots, and we're talking about all different disciplines of the hobby. We're talking non-sports and sports and every kind of sport. And so I think you're going to see baseball fans be mad, basketball fans be mad, non-sports be mad. It's just really hard to rank them. But I think I agree with you. I would have rather seen Bronko. I mean, like I said, I had it in the 60s, so I think Bronko should have been on the list.
Yeah, definitely. So everybody that doesn't know this card, please educate yourself. Just Google it, just YouTube it. You will be surprised how big this card actually is. And like you said, so many cards did not make the list. And I'm also like I can understand that many people do not know about it. But I'm still glad that it's number one of the list that did not make it. So
Right.
I'm still like okay with it. And let's talk about the card a little bit.
Yes,
So
tell us more about Nagurski. Tell us more about the card and why it
so,
is so iconic.
so at first, Bronko Nagurski, it's not like a usual football name. So it's not like the Mahomes, Brady stuff, the Nemeth stuff that you see every day. So every time I speak about Bronko Nagurski with my guys, they say, yo, Kiki, what are you talking about? Who is Bronko Nagurski? Who? He never played, he doesn't sound like a football guy and stuff like this. But what we see is like if you're looking at the card. So this guy is like a bull. So he's like a machine. He's running through everybody. He played for Chicago Bears. They got 2 Super Bowls back then. And you can really see his power, like running straight to you at the card. I love this the whole design of it. So and it was and I think he was maybe the last card of the whole set, which also makes it a little bit rarer, just like the 52 Mickey Mantle. So the last ones are the harder to get ones, right? And the funny thing about Bronko Nagurski is back then he was such a machine, such a like overdose for everybody. Actually, a contender was asked before the game, yo, how do you think, how can we stop Bronko Nagurski today? This guy actually replied, there's no way we could stop Bronko. The only way, it was like another time, of course, the only way to stop him is to shoot him with a gun in his head before the game. So this is really real talk back then, but there was no way to stop a guy like Bronko Nagurski, and it's beautiful that we have a card in there, the 35 National Chicle, that puts all in this into one cardboard, and I love it. But too bad, man. The list is a little bit wrong for this one, in my opinion.
I think I agree. I would have liked to have seen it certainly higher and just make the iconic 100. But I think the thing that I'd like to highlight before we go on this one is when you think about basketball, vintage basketball, you might think of the 48 Bowman Mikan. Or you think about vintage hockey, you might think of the George Vezina. When you think about baseball, you might think of, I guess, several people, but you might think of the Wagner. And you think of the Pele in soccer. Each sport sort of has one most recognizable, really old, really vintage card. That, to me, that's really what this card is for football. And so I think it's really unfortunate that it didn't get more love. But having said that, as these new collectors that you're talking about, Kiki, as they continue to get more and more education, this is the sort of card that I could really see, taking a leap where people start recognizing, oh my goodness, this is one of the most important football cards ever made. Again, the 1935 National Chicle Bronko Nagurski. Kiki, is there anything else that you want to mention about this one?
So just like you said, this is in the club, in my opinion, like the Vezina, like the Wagner, like the Mikan, because this, for every sport, this is the beginning one. So this one is the holy grail that has to be number one if you're looking at the vintage sector, like the real vintage area. And this is it. So I just ask everybody, we all should educate us even more. So I'm also learning every day about trading cards. But when I learned about Bronko Nagurski, I was shocked that I did not knew about it before. And I can understand everybody that did not voted it in.
Right.
But let's all change that. So maybe for the next one, it might get a place inside the top 100.
I love it. And that's totally possible. Who knows? Maybe next year or the year after that, we'll do this list again. But as Kiki says, we're gonna keep counting these down. Tomorrow we're gonna hit number 100 and then 99 after the day after that, and we're gonna just sort of keep counting these down over the next few months. We're really excited to count these down. I'll have Kiki back here in the future, not tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be back with another guest, but in the future we'll have Kiki back as well. Until tomorrow, happy collecting.